Hey everybody, this is me, Undead Viking, and this is Honor Among Thieves. Honor Among Thieves is a game in which each person is going to be playing a criminal mastermind in a fantasy era, where you're going to hire a bunch of evil ne'er-do-wells. Well, maybe not evil, I guess. Well, they're crooks, criminals, cut purses, second-story men, thieves, what have you. And you're going to be sending them out on heists in the attempt to basically steal the money from the rich so you can not give it to the poor, but line your own pockets with it. And hopefully, at the end of the game, you have the most money, and then you establish yourself as the most evil or most powerful criminal in the land. It is a card-driven game where you're going to be playing different cards that have different abilities. The cards are going to be different schemes or powers that you'll have. They are going to be treasures. They are going to be the different characters that are going to be part of your little thieving crew. The game lasts about an hour, maybe a little bit longer, depending on the number of players, and it is a heck of a lot of fun. So let me tell you how to play Honor Among Thieves, and we'll come back here and I'll tell you my final thoughts. This is Honor Among Thieves. Let me just tell you what you're looking at, and then I'll tell you how you play the game. Alright, so each player is the head dude of your, like, Thieves Guild, if you will, and you have your crew that you're going to be sending out on a heist. And to begin with, you get two places that you're going to be going after. In this case, we have the Master Goldsmith, and we have the Wealthy Merchant. Now, when those heists are completed, and they are successfully robbed, then you have this large deck of objectives that you'll be getting more objectives from. And you don't use all of them during the game, so, like, and then there's level 2 objectives, and finally, there are level 3 objectives as well. You don't use every single one of those, so you can't always count on certain objectives being available. I always like that in games where they don't use all of the cards, but just throwing that out there and letting you know that. Each card will have a reward. So like you can see this, if you get done with the Master Goldsmith, there's 8 coins, 8 gold to be taken in that situation. The Wealthy Merchant has 6. Now, each of these has locations for defenses. They have a little spot there. And the defense deck right there, you draw those defenses off the top of the card and you flush those out. Now, to successfully rob these locations, you have to defeat every single one of the defenses. So in this case, the Master Goldsmith has a protection racket, it has cunning traps, and it has a pass keyword. The Wealthy Merchant has a watch house and a watchman. So yeah, kind of actually, you know, I just drew those randomly, but that actually kind of works out, right? You have a watch house and you have a watchman in there as well. Now you might notice that this watch house has this little 2 up here. It has 2 gold coins. That is an added bonus that gets added to the merchant. So it's worth an extra 2 coins if you're able to defeat the house. Now, for whatever reason, this defense is erased and removed and replaced with something else, you still keep the 2 coins on the Wealthy Merchant, and it stays there until it is defeated. So you can see how this is worth 8, as well as the Master Goldsmith is worth 8, so they can do that. Now, as you're doing your heist, it is quite possible that you're going to fail. You're going to fail. These are going to get kind of hammed up on you, basically because you might set yourself up for the win, but this is a game where people are going to be betraying each other and trying to prevent other people from getting coins, because that's how you win the game. And so when you fail, each one of these cards has a result where you have to roll a die to determine the people that are associated to a defense if they fail. So like if I had thieves that were going after the watch house at the Wealthy Merchant, depending upon what I roll, or like I either have a no effect, and I apologize you can't quite see this. Why don't I just grab one of these? Actually, you can see kind of closer. So here at the Dockside Warehouse, if you have this, it is no effect. All exhausted if you get 1 dagger. If you get 2 daggers, the character is exhausted, and if you get an X, the character is killed. Now, exhausted basically means that you kind of turn them on their side, and they can't really do anything. If characters are exhausted, again, they are arrested, and then they go to the jail, which is over there. The jail can actually have a heist done on them as well, and if you have a successful heist at the jail, you're actually able to bust out a character that has been imprisoned. Obviously, if you go to the graveyard, well, Yeah. Massive changes have to occur to get somebody out of the graveyard. But, so, like, if you got caught in Wealthy Merchant, you roll a die, and you see, like, an X, the character would be arrested as the result of you aren't killed, at least, but you'd be arrested and hauled away. Alright, so, there's other ways that people can get arrested, too. Like, there's cards people can play, and different effects that characters have, and what have you. So, alright, so I've already drawn my 2 characters. I'll talk about that in just a second, but at the beginning of the game, you deal out 2 cards from the character deck for each player. And starting with the first player, just determine that however you're going to determine it. You do a Serpentine Draft. For those of you who are in fantasy leagues, you know what I'm talking about. But a Serpentine Draft basically says player 1 drafts, picks 1, and you pay for your first thief that your first part of your crew that you get. So they have a cost. Once again, I'll show that to you in just a second. But like, so you'd go, you know, 1, 2. If you had 3 players, you'd have player 1, player 2, player 3. Then player 3 would pick again. Then player 2, player 1. So then each person's going to start with 2 people in their crew. You don't pay for the second person of your crew, your second thief that you draft using that order. After that's done, you just put the character deck over here, shuffle it, and you deal out 5 people that are available and ready to be purchased and drafted into a crew. So, like, these are my 2. I have an Advocate, and that was my first one I picked, and it was cost 4 coins, but it's pretty, you know, she gives me 3 of these. They're called Lies. That's what that resource is, but you can just match up the resources. It doesn't even matter what the names are. And then my second person is a Stick-Up Crew. Now, both of these have abilities. However, one of these people has an ability they can't use right away, and I'll explain that in just a second. So, this one, it's a reactive ability. That's what that means, and it says prevents a character from being arrested. So if I had a situation where somebody was going to be, arrested and hauled off to the Hoosgow, I can use the Advocate to do that. Now, there is, at the beginning of the game, what's called the Honor Among Thieves, that's what that says. As soon as another person betrays somebody on a heist, now that doesn't mean you mess with them or anything like that. There's actually a betrayal phase of the heist. As soon as somebody actually betrays somebody, then you flip this card over to show that there is broken honor. And once there is broken honor, it can't ever come back. But as soon as there is broken honor, then the secondary abilities, these ones in red, can go into effect. And so here we have like arrest another character. It is an action that can be done. You know, you actually just take the action. I'm going to arrest that person's character. The Stick-Up Crew rolls a die, steal coins from another player equal to the number of daggers rolled. On an X, you kill the Stick-Up Crew. So you can actively attack somebody and try to take them. So when you have your crew, you just put them in front of you, and they are face up. They aren't secret. You don't like keep them. Oh, you don't know who's on my crew. Everybody knows who's on their crew. All right. You also are going to get 2. Well, actually, you draw 3 hidden agenda cards, and each person gets 3, and they're going to pick 2. Hidden agendas are just a way that you're going to get extra victory points at the end of the game. Victory points are coins, obviously. So if you have 1 or fewer characters in your crew, you gain 8 coins. Gain 2 coins for every character in the graveyard. And if you end the game with at least 1 of your characters that you started with, you gain 5 coins. So you pick 2 of these. So maybe I'm going to go the long game. Maybe I'm going to try to keep like my Advocate because she's pretty good. And then maybe I'm going to play a really bloody game where I'm going to be trying to get as many people in the graveyard as possible. So I'm going to take these 2. You take this one, you get rid of it. After everybody claims their hidden agendas, they're done. And then I just put these 2, and those remain secret, obviously. You can't reveal those. You can't tell people what they are. Those are what they are. They're your information. Each person's going to get 4 scheme cards. Normally you have a maximum hand limit of 7. There are some things that can change that. Certain characters you can have can change that. But a maximum hand limit of 7 scheme cards. These are the cards you're going to be using for different actions and different things that you're going to be doing. And most of these break the rules in some way. So here you have, and some of these actually have, obviously, the other function. So this one, active, it's an active card. You have to actually to play it. It is arrest an exhausted character. And then here, if you is the no honor among thieves has been broken. Arrest an exhausted character and gain a coin. So like you're blabbing on somebody else's group and you're getting them arrested, and then you get a payback, if you will. Side job. Oh, I'm gonna actually here. Let me put these two right here. I'll talk about those in a second. So here's the logistics. There's lots of different logistics cards. Basically, logistics give you an extra ability or an extra power that you normally wouldn't have. So attach this card to a character. This character gains plus one of this particular skill, the purple, and then it's a skeleton key, and you discard the skeleton key if that character is rested or killed. So if you add this on, you see that there's that little thing out there. You can just take your character like so, and you just put that on there so you'll remember that you have that added skill put onto that particular character when you have that. Alright, so finally, and this is going to make more sense here when I talk about heists, but in the side job and also betrayal. So when you do a heist, basically if you succeeded it, you come down to a point where you're going to be paying everybody off. That is part of it. And normally before the heist, or actually before the heist every time, everybody discusses. It's like, I'm willing to put this guy and send you help with this person and that person so we can defeat this, but I want half of the coins. Okay, that sounds good. Sometimes there will be treasures that you can get to, which are over there. I'll talk about those in just a little bit. But so you can also discuss about the treasures and what have you as well. But there's a moment of truth where every person's going to take one of their scheme cards that they have, you don't know what they are, and you're going to put one and you're going to put it face down. Now, if you just put a normal one face down like this, it doesn't have any effect. It's like you reveal it, it isn't a moment of truth card, you put it back in your hand, nothing happens. You can play cards like this that say side job. If you are not betrayed, you gain 2 additional coins to the bank after completing the heist. So you gain some extra money for doing it. You put that down, you reveal, I wasn't betrayed, I get 2 more coins. However, betrayal. If you do a betrayal, you have betrayed your fellow thieves and you seize the prize for yourself. The money that's on there is the amount of money that you get to take beforehand. So in either one of these cases, you'd get all of the money. Also, if there's treasure to be had, you get the treasure as well. So it's one of those things where if you play betrayal, you're going to get that. Now, if more than one thief plays betrayal, you have to kind of hammer that out between everybody that's betrayed. If say 4 players all went after one thing that had 14 coins, and 2 people played 2 betrayal cards. The betrayal people would get paid off first, and then the people that didn't play betrayal would be left holding on to the leavings, if you will, and of course then you can plot revenge later in the game. Alright, so that's the basics of the game. I hope I still have you here. So basically, on your turn, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be taking actions, and you get 3 actions. And you don't have to do a heist on your turn if you don't want to. A lot of times you won't, because other people will do heists on their turn, and they'll ask you to join in and help them. So you don't have to actually go ahead and do the heist, but it depends on that. So you get 7 actions. You can stage a heist, which I'll explain here in just a little bit. That's kind of the meat of the game. So let's just move past that, and we'll circle around back to that in a little bit. You can recruit. Basically, you take a character from the side over here. You could take any of them as long as they're available. So you can get the veteran. It costs 4 coins to get them. And then you can, obviously the veteran can prevent a character from being killed, and then later on he can kill another character. But you can take a person, so let's say we did hire, well actually we wouldn't have enough coins for that because we have to pay for the advocate. You start with 5 coins, and you pay for the first one that you graft, and then you don't have to pay for the second one. So we'd only have 1 coin left, so we'd have to probably take somebody pretty weak. So maybe we'd hire this guy, the smuggler. He gives us this little blue lookout thing, and then increase your hand limit by 1 scheme card for as long as you have a smuggler in your crew. Now you can only have 4 people in your crew, and you can fire them. You don't have to get them arrested or killed. You can fire them, but you go ahead and you put him there, and you pay your coin to hire the smuggler. Now you'd have access to him. Now of course, obviously you have a blank there, so you're going to replace it and put another character down in that spot. You can play any number of your logistics cards as an action. So if you have 4 logistics cards, you wanted to play all 4, you could. So we could, as a logistics action, we could take this card and we could add it, as I said, to our advocate here. So we'd give her, that extra ability with the skeleton key that's on there. You can then rest, which if you have any exhausted characters, say you had a very successful heist before, you can unexhaust characters that are exhausted, so you unexhaust them. And then you can choose if you wish to draw 2 scheme cards and add them to your deck, or you can discard any number of cards if you want. Now, why would you want to discard cards? Well, you can do what's called legwork. So you can discard your cards, and then you get to draw with a rest action, and you can follow it up with a legwork, and that allows you to draw scheme cards equal to your hand limit. So you can just draw back up to the top. So if you have cards you don't like and you wanted to restart them, that's how you would go about that process. You can do what's called a headhunting, which basically takes all of the people that are available in the recruitment pool, and then you take them, you put them on the bottom of the deck, and then you put 5 new ones out there. So if you wanted to do a recruit, but you didn't like any of that you had access to, that's how you would refresh that. And finally, as an action, you can exchange cards with other players. So you can say, you know what, I will trade you, and you can trade anything except for treasure cards and your hidden agenda cards. But you can trade whatever you want, as far as you can trade your scheme cards, you can trade money, you can trade the people in your crew, so you can work out trades with the villain. But that is an action. It isn't a free action. You have to actually take one of your 3 actions to do that. Actions that are on character cards and stuff like that don't cost anything. You can do those as well. So you don't have to spend an action to activate effects that your characters have. All right, so now a heist, like the big thing, the one that's important. So when you're doing a heist, you have to defeat all of the defenses that particular heist has, and it's going to be a very rare situation that you're going to be able to do the entire heist by yourself. You really have to have a perfect configuration of cards. But also the thing is that if you do a heist all by yourself, the chances of other people playing scheme cards that are going to actually mess with you and be detrimental to you trying to complete that is going to be very difficult. So it's always a good idea, unless you really feel pretty safe in taking on one all by yourself, that you need to invite at least one other person, so both of you have a vested interest in making sure it is successful. So if you want to say go after the wealthy merchant, you could say, well, looking at the characters, obviously I can apply my advocate to the watch house, and she has the 3 lies that I need to defeat that, but I don't have the necessary things to defeat the watchman. But say, however, another player had this veteran card with 3 muscle, which is what that is, and I have the stick-up crew. What we could do is I could convince the other player, and I'd say, hey, I'll split the money right down the middle, and you and I can go after and try to defeat, and we'd be able to take out the watchman with our 4 muscle, and then we'd be able to take out the wealthy merchant. That's really basic and really straightforward, and that's the first step of handling any of the attempts or whatever that you're going to be trying to take out a heist. However, it isn't that simple, because after you do your intentions and you show what you're going to be doing, people are going to be able to complicate matters by literally playing what's called complicated complication cards from the scheme deck. Now, during the complications phase, basically what happens is, starting with the first player, the person that activated this action or whatever, you start with them, and they are able then to play a card or something. So maybe they even went into the heist knowing that they couldn't defeat it, but they're going to play complication cards that are actually going to help them eventually defeat said situation. And then you go around the table, and each person's able to, and even the people not involved in this particular heist, can do things to mess with the situation. Now, for example, say this is a 3-player game, and these 2 people are getting together and want to get that gold, and there's a player who says, no, I don't want you to do that. I want to play this card. So this is on alert. You have a character or defense challenge plus muscle or plus this lookout until the end of the heist. The skill must be already part of the defense challenge. So we're challenging the muscle here. So what they could do is they could play this, and they could roll a die here. Let me just see what happens. Let's say we got that. So you roll a die, and now it's 2 daggers, meaning we're adding 2 muscle to this particular this guardsman, basically, because he was on alert and ready. So now what the other players have to do is they got to hope that they can somehow beef up what they're doing here to be able to do that. You can't send in more people. Once you have your people decided upon for the heist, those are the ones you're going in there with. You can't change that up. But Unfortunately, if another player has a card they can play, so maybe we don't have one, but maybe we can appeal to the other player that's in on the heist with us, and and they said, okay, well, fine, we're going to play Moment of Rage. And so here is exhaust a character and give it +2 to their muscle until the end of the heist. Now, obviously, that you exhausting the character to do that, meaning that if they get exhausted again somehow, like if another person had another ability that they could cause the character to get exhausted, they'd be sent to jail. But just being exhausted does not mean that they are removed from the heist. So if nobody else gets to play any cards, this one's done. You both decided that you're going to play. You're going to get 4 coins for our trouble to do that. And then if nobody betrays, or remember that thing with the betrayal? If nobody betrays anybody else, maybe you get a bonus coins for doing the side job thing. But you succeed and you are out. Now, if you, say, failed that particular part, maybe you weren't able to play that card, you weren't able to do it, you didn't have this Moment of Rage card, you would then fail that portion of this particular heist. So what happens then is that you still, if you pass the defense and you succeeded with just that defense, but you failed the other one, this player would get 2 bonus coins for being able to succeed at it, even if they didn't succeed at the entire heist. So we get 2 coins for our trouble. However, now we have a situation where these 2 people are in danger of being arrested or suffering the fate that this is. So like here is no fact and so forth, discard scheme or character arrested. So each person would have to roll a die for each one of these sections, possibly having to get rid of one of their scheme cards, which stinks, or end up with the character arrested. So like with the stick-up crew, let's see what we get here. So I'd have to discard a scheme card, and then for the veteran, let's see what we get here. Also have to discard a scheme card. Now if I'd rolled an X for either of those, like with that, they're going to get arrested. They're going to go to the jail, like so. And then, because this hasn't been defeated, you don't replace it with this, but you're going to replace it. Place the defense that we defeated with another new defense from there. So let's just see what we get here. See what we have. So the new defense is going to be soldiers. We're going to put them down, and now we'd have this still out there as well. Now, it should be noted that sometimes you're going to have a situation where, like, one of the 2 heists is going to be more attractive because maybe the defenses are lower and think people are going to go after that. If that happens, and like whenever one of the 2 is chosen, you do end up adding coins to the one that isn't picked, so that it becomes more lucrative and more enticing. And eventually, because you're going to have a stack of coins there, if it's difficult, people are going to go after that one because the rewards are going to be worth more for doing that one. All right, so after that is all said and done, like I said, if we defeated it, we'd replace it. So like the next one would be the Dockside Warehouse, and this one is interesting because you can see the Dockside Warehouse gives 5 coins, but there's also a treasure card. And I should show you treasure cards before we break away here and I talk about the game. Treasure cards are just that. They are treasures. But treasures, they don't, some of them, like here's a legitimate investments. This card counts as 4 coins when determining a score at the end of the game. So that's like one of the little abilities. But here, like you have like black market contracts. After you discard phase, draw 2 scheme cards. So you have different things that are available to you and different like little powers that you have. Or here's the cursed icon. When you are betrayed, have the value of betrayal cards played by other players. This has no effect on the magnificent betrayal card, which is, I can dig one out, but basically it's the really, really good betrayal card, if you will. So, but treasure cards are just that. They are a passive ability that you get to keep in front of you, and they're going to give you bonuses either during the game or at the end of the game as well. The game will end as soon as a single stage 3 objective has been succeeded on. Then when the game ends, the player with the most coins in their stash after they cash in their hidden agendas will be the winner. If there is a tie, they're broken by the number of treasure cards each person has. If there's still a tie, then the game ties, and the shadowy underworld of the city this is right from the rules. The shadowy underworld of the city is split between 2 or more equally matched criminal masterminds. Ooh. There is one way that everybody can lose. If you ever have a situation where there's fewer than 6 characters outside of the jail and the graveyard, including the characters that are in players' crews, basically you guys have worked so hard at getting everybody else either arrested or killed that nobody has any thieves left, then the game ends, all the players lose, and the City Watch ends up being the victor of the game. I've never had that happen in the times that I played this, but theoretically, if you had a really bloodthirsty game, that could happen. This is a wonderfully thematic, card-driven game. I greatly enjoyed it. This is perfect for my gaming group. We are a group of friends that have been together for decades, and we delight in any game that allows us to kind of screw each other over. But also, it is a game that actually has some thinkiness, and it has some wonderful reveal moments, and it just actually just boils down to being a very, 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 very thematic Euro, if you will. And but I'll talk more about all of that in my final thoughts. Hey everybody, thank you very much for sitting through that gameplay portion of how to learn how to play Honor Among Thieves. Hope it's pretty evident to you. This is a game that is not going to be really, really difficult. It's one of those wonderful games where it doesn't rely a lot on iconography. All the information is right there on the cards, and it's pretty straightforward as far as the different effects and different abilities that each person is going to have. This is one of those wonderful, like as I said, very, very thematic Euros. I mean, there is no real, well, there's some randomness, obviously, as far as what the cards you get, but for the most part it's pretty deterministic. You can see exactly what you need to do, and then you actually have to manage to get those resources put together so you can actually accomplish what you're setting out to do. The wonderful part about this game is the cooperation factor, that you have to reach out to the other people at the table, your opponents, the people that you are working against to try to win the entire game, and convince them to help you in some way, shape, or form. And that's like the wonderful part, the whole negotiation process between you and the other players, figure out a way that you're going to get them to help you. Now, there's lots of times when you're replaying it where basically the other people know they have you over a barrel, where it's like, I need to do this, I need to earn some coins. It's like, well, then I'm going to need, 60-70% of the rewards if I'm going to put my people at risk and go out there. And you're going to say, okay, fine, but you know fully well then you have the betrayal card. But then it's one of those wonderful I think that you think that you think that I think type of situations where the deliciousness of the negotiation and the reveal moment, that wonderful reveal moment of the moment of truth when you actually then turn the card over to see if anybody's betraying, that's just a wonderful, wonderful moment in the game. And, there are certain players in my group that I always can count on them trying to, sneak one past me, but then they use that knowledge that I always know that against me, and of course then other things happen, and it's just, it's one of those, there's key signature moments in lots of games that like kind of are that moment where like the real fun. I mean, the build up with the heist, the negotiation, the conversation, everything like that. It's this build up of tension, and then there's that release of that tension at that moment when you turn those cards over that I really, really enjoy. I mean, everything else is fun. I like planning games. I like kind of building towards something. I like the whole process of like creating my crew and having those people available to me. And plus this game is, like I said, not only thematic, but it is very story-driven as well. You can kind of get that little story in your background. I mean, I once played an entire D&D campaign where each player was a thief, and we were just, this was basically what we did. We were part of this big plot of, it started off as being thieves, and then we turned into spies, and we were agents of the government, whatever. But I mean, those very few first levels at the very beginning when we were like trying to like create a thieves guild and do something and like doing all these like little evil plans and what have you, this reminded me of that a lot. And so then the story of my crew and me being a criminal mastermind really like formulated in my head, and I like it when a game does that. And if you're like that with me, that you have that kind of story that you kind of create, I think you're going to enjoy this one as well. I mean, it's just a really, really fun game. And if you like negotiation games, if you like games about with this thievery theme, like the kind of seedy underworld, I think you're really, really going to enjoy Honor Among Thieves. All right, so there you go. If you have any questions about the game, ask away. I'll try to answer those to the best of my ability. Thank you very much for taking the time to watch this video, and until next time, I'm the Undead Viking, and I'm telling you to have yourself one heck of an awesome day. All right, bye-bye.